Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me and hopefully this isn't too awkward, but I'm showing it's 5:30 Central Time and I would call the West Fargo Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. I'll probably try to walk through a few of these items remotely until we get through the election of the chair part of the agenda and hopefully do a handoff at that point. So. First off, we have approval of the order of the agenda. Any comments, concerns about the order? Otherwise, we take a motion.
Move to approve the order of the regular agenda.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next up, we have approval of the minutes from the April 15th meeting. These were distributed with the packet. Any comments, questions?
Move to approve the minutes as published.
And I'll second.
If not, I'd take a motion to approve.
Sorry, I didn't say that loud enough. Move to approve as published.
And I
Great,
second-
thank you.
And I second, Derek.
All right, sorry, you guys,
That's
but
okay.
appreciate that. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, now welcome to Alyssa. Sorry, I'm sure you guys have all met Alyssa and I haven't, so welcome, Alyssa. Glad you're on the Planning Commission. And then regular agenda, the first action item is the election of a commission chair.
I make a motion.
So
Can I make a motion?
go for it.
I make a motion to Eric Dodds as chair and Mike Thorstead as vice chair, or that will come up, I guess, after that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion on that motion? Comments, questions?
Eric, will you just give us a quick, brief synopsis of where you're at? I know you're out of town just for the near
Yeah.
term because
Right.
you're setting up a branch office for your business. And
Yeah.
just to explain that you might be tied up just the next couple months, but beyond that, we
Yeah.
hope to have your friendly face here.
Well, I'm not sure if you all agree, but yeah, thanks. So apologize, I'm not there in person. I've been, my company, we're trying to open an office out in Boise, Idaho. And I had committed to spending 2 weeks a month in Idaho for a period of time to help get the sort of kick the doors open and sort of kick things off. And unfortunately, the timing of that has brought me out here during the weeks when we have the Planning Commission meeting. So happy to participate remotely when I'm out here, but I know that's not ideal, certainly not ideal as the chair. So I currently am scheduled to be in Boise the first 2 weeks of June as well. And then my schedule beyond June is not set yet. And so I guess I will be making a more concerted effort with my travel plans to try to be in person at the Planning Commission meetings in July and beyond. I guess if this becomes something that is, continues to be an obstacle or interference with me attending in person, I'll certainly be coordinating with Aaron and Mike and the whole board on that. I don't want this to become an awkward situation where I'm continually out of town for the Planning Commission meeting dates. So that's the quick summary. I'm happy to answer any questions or details about that if you'd like.
The only thing I
Okay.
can say is virtual is pretty commonplace these days. And I think your schedule allowing you to attend really makes it workable, in my opinion.
Sure. I guess I would suggest, and not to get ahead of myself here, but if this moves forward, I guess in the interim, I'd maybe look to the vice chair to help run the meetings in person. And, I'm certainly happy to weigh in and provide input and, lead as I can from a distance, but I know that is a little bit awkward, especially for public attendees and things, so. Any other comments, discussion, questions about the motion? Okay. Hearing none, I guess I'd maybe call for a roll call vote on this.
Individually?
Well, I guess Aaron, or maybe, do we need a roll call vote or is this just a voice vote?
It's by a majority, Eric, but we can certainly do it by roll call if Brianna wants to just call everyone's name.
Commissioner Amon,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwan,
Yes?
Commissioner Weary,
Yes.
Commissioner Gust,
Aye.
Commissioner Thorsted,
Aye.
Commissioner Kopp,
Aye.
and Commissioner Dodds.
Aye, thank you. Okay, thanks for that. And again, I'm sorry I'm remotely for this time, but I look forward to seeing you guys in person soon. With that, I guess, Mike, if you're all right, I might pitch it over to you to help coordinate the rest of the meeting here today. So if you're comfortable with that.
Sure, I'll give her a shot here. I got Katie right two down from me. She can poke me if I do something wrong. So we're going on to the item 2 on the regular agenda. This is listed as a public hearing A25-5, Brooks Harbor 5th Edition, a request for planned unit development at 2250 5th Street West to build townhouse style apartments, Lot 3, Block 3, Brooks Harbor 5th Edition, Sankey. This has been continued from the March 11th, 2025 meeting. And there's a note here that's been withdrawn, and I guess I'll get that confirmation from Lisa. But I would assume since we've listed it as a public hearing, we should allow anyone that wants to comment on this to comment on it. Lisa?
So, yes, the applicant asked that it be withdrawn. If they want to come back at a later date, they will have to reapply. It is a public hearing. I did notify everybody who had commented in the past that it had been withdrawn, but if there's anybody who wants to comment on it, I don't see anybody here, but it was a public hearing, so.
Okay, well, I asked the public, all 2 of you that are in the audience tonight, is this an item you would like to comment on? If so, come to the podium and state your name and address, please. Again, is there any public comment on A25-5? And last call, public hearing on A25-5, Brooks Harbor 5th Edition. Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll close that portion of it, and I don't think we have to take action on it because it's been withdrawn, but move on to item number 3. It's a public hearing, A25-8, Greenworks First Edition, a request for subdivision and planned unit development at the southeast corner of 40th Avenue West and 15th Street West for a retail nursery and landscaping services, a portion of Section 31, T139 North, R49 North, Nelson. And it's noted here they want to continue that to the June 10th, 2025 meeting. Aaron, you gonna handle that one?
Thank you. So yeah, I'll just note that this is a public hearing as well, and so we typically would open up the public hearing in case anybody did attend that wants to speak on this item, but it will be continued to next month, and there will be a public hearing next month as well. And same with the next item on the agenda as well.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to comment on A25-8, the Greenworks First Edition request? Again, this will be continued into next month's meeting. Is there any public comment? Last call, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll close that part of it. Public comments will continue next month as the item will be continued at the next meeting. On to item number 4, it's a public hearing, A 25-10, Gateway West Edition, a request for a conditional use permit at 1950 Cheyenne Street to allow for an illuminated sign facing a residential district. Lot 8, Block 1, Gateway West Edition. And I guess Aaron just commented on this. This has also been requested to continue at the June 10th, 2025 meeting. This is a public hearing, so we will allow public comment on this. Is there any public comment regarding this? Is there any public comment? Last time, any public comment on A 25-10? Seeing none, we'll continue that into June 10th, 2025 meeting. There will be opportunity on both of these items to comment at that time. On to item number 5, also a public hearing, A 25-9, Halverson's Industrial Park, 6th Edition, a request for a major subdivision at 1154 3rd Avenue Northwest, Lot 3, Block 1, Halverson's Industrial Park, 2nd Edition. Lisa.
Thank you. This application was received in order to subdivide one lot into 3. The applicant intends to develop Lot 2, which is along the southwest corner of the proposed development with shop space, similar to what has been developed to the west. Access will be via a private access easement going north-south. Whoops, I'm having problems here. Come on. All right, anyway. There's a private access easement that's located north-south to access the lots from 12th Street west or northwest. There will also be an east-west access easement to access lots 2 and 3. 3rd Avenue is unimproved, and they don't intend to improve that, so that's why there's the access easement. This is a public hearing. The applicant is available to answer any questions, as am I.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. So I'll move to the public comment on this item A 25-9. Is there any public comment regarding this item? Is there any public comment? For the third and final time, is there any public comment regarding this application, A 25-9, Halverson's Industrial Park, 6th Edition? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing and bring it back to the commissioners for any comments, questions, and any action.
Move to recommend approval.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I would second that.
We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 6 is a public hearing, A 25-11, zoning ordinance amendment to Title 9, 4 is right the first time, relating to encroachment of the building control line in the CO-SR Cheyenne River Corridor Overlay District. Aaron.
Thank you. So this is a zoning ordinance amendment that staff is bringing forward. Little backstory on this. This is relating to the Cheyenne River Corridor Overlay Zoning District, which was established in 2012 in order to protect the Cheyenne River Corridor from encroachment of development activities, both to protect the river corridor as well as to protect those structures that are in proximity to the river from riverbank erosion or sloughing. So when that ordinance was established, it was established with an option to apply for a variance to the building control line in order to encroach within 100 feet of the riverbank. Specifically, that section of the Cheyenne River Corridor Overlay District specified that somebody can contract with a geotechnical engineer or professional licensed engineer in order to do a soils analysis of the riverbank at that location to demonstrate that the soil is sufficiently stable for the proposed project. And in so doing, they can bring that forward to Planning and Zoning Commission and then ultimately to the City Commission to request that variance up to 50 feet from the top of the established riverbank. So historically, we haven't seen a whole lot of these types of requests. However, in the last 2 years or so, for whatever reason, we have started to see quite a few more. And so the Southeast Gas Water Resource District, they are the main kind of public entity that I guess is responsible for the preservation or the care of the Cheyenne River among other water bodies within this area. And so they have officially requested that the city take a look at our ordinances and consider revisions to the ordinance in order to make it a little bit more restrictive in terms of the ability for folks to receive a variance to that 100-foot building control line area. And so staff largely agrees with that assessment, and so planning and in conjunction with our engineering department, we have worked to propose a set of revisions to the Cheyenne Overlay Zoning District regulations here, included as an attachment to your staff report. We've got a red line version as well as a clean version of the proposed amendments here. Essentially what we're looking to do is just remove the paragraph that talks about or allows for that, allows for the variance option with the soil survey. Remove it in its entirety. The logic there is that we would treat the river, or excuse me, the building control line the same as we would any other type of setback, and that an applicant would need to apply just for a standard variance in order to request any relief from that setback requirement. In addition to that, we've also added a new section that tries to better identify some development activities that would be allowable within that 100-foot building control area. So things like small sheds or decks, fences, paved surfaces, things of that nature. Wanted to allow for a little bit of flexibility to that building control line. Again, that building control line is primarily interested in building, setting buildings back from the river. Some of these items are a little less impactful to riverbank stability. Additionally, they're a little less of a concern in terms of any danger to the actual structure itself. So that's the intention of that section there. The other item that we removed was a reference to the nonconformities. We have a section within our zoning ordinance that talks about nonconformities for the whole zoning code, and so that paragraph was a little bit duplicative, and so just removing that as well. The last change that we would be proposing is kind of a reinsertion of the soil analysis requirement within the actual variance provisions of the ordinance. The variance provisions, anybody requesting a variance to our ordinance, they're required to submit an application which addresses these 4 standard criteria, which really deal with in demonstrating a unique hardship to the specific property, really forcing the applicant to demonstrate why the city should bend the rules in this case where everybody else would need to follow whatever the applicable standard is. And so in addition to those standard variance criteria, if it is a request for a variance to the building control line, we would still want to see that soil analysis by a registered engineer. And so just wanting to make that specific within this particular variance section. So that's an overview of the proposed amendments here. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have for staff, but ultimately staff does view this as consistent with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan does talk about resiliency to natural disasters and things of that nature. So ultimately we're asking for a recommendation for approval to the City Commission here tonight. This is a public hearing item as well. So with that, again, happy to answer any questions you have for staff.
Okay, before we get into commission questions or comments, this is a public hearing, so we'll open up for public comment regarding the zoning ordinance amendment. Is there any public comment? Are there any public comments on this item? Last chance here. Any public comment on the zoning ordinance amendments to Title IV? Seeing none, we'll close that portion of it and turn it back to the commission. Do you have any questions or comments for Aaron or staff?
Does Southeast Cass Water have any comments about the Fargo diversion and how that's gonna affect the flows through town? To me, it seems like this was probably something that should have been done a long time ago, having setbacks on the river. And now that the river flows are gonna be controlled, if that's the right word, coming through town?
I'm not aware of any specific comment. I'm sure they do, but I certainly don't want to speak on their behalf to that question. So the river control, the 100-foot building control line has been in place since at least 2012. Just for some historical context on the
This would
setback.
just make it harder then to build a garage or whatever you wanna do closer to the river.
Correct. Yep.
Southeast Gas is part of the joint board, which controls the Fargo diversion, and that river's been diverted for many years with the Cheyenne diversion, and they're still having a lot of erosion problems, you know, and it's not just wet that causes erosions, droughts cause them, and all that stuff, and so, I mean, it's a good recommendation, and I guess my question is, you know, should we be allowing parking lots that close? Because parking lots can be a source of a lot of erosion because they're not allowing any moisture to soak into the ground, and you know, where they're letting it run off could be an issue also.
Let's see. Yep, so as it's currently written, parking lots are included as needing to meet that 100-foot setback requirement. So they're not allowed to encroach any closer than that 100 feet, you know, same as a building.
Variance along with smaller buildings. We scroll down again. Did I misread that?
Sorry. Yep, okay. Yeah, I see that. We have that listed twice, so I'll need
Yep.
to verify that with engineering here.
They're allowing parking lots within 50 feet as a variance.
And then it's also listed in then the general variance section where it talks about the COSR district. So I think we need to decide which one it should be part of.
Yep. Yep, so the intent was to allow the parking lots as close as 50 feet, provided they provide that soils analysis. And so if there is concern, you know, as you noted with parking lots and, you know, inability for moisture to permeate into the ground, that's certainly something we can reconsider.
Eric, did you have a comment? I thought you were.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I guess I agree with Dave's comment about the parking lots. I was gonna bring that up as well. I would maybe prefer to take that out of the exceptions paragraph and leave it as a requirement to get a variance if you want to put a parking lot, you know, closer than 100 feet. And then maybe secondly, just so I'm clear on this, Aaron, there's still a variance process where somebody could come in and request building a larger structure or parking lot or other things between 100 feet and 50 feet from the riverbank. I guess we're all seeming to agree that, you know, having structures closer to the river is problematic or could be problematic. But in some regards, am I reading this right, that this still allows a variance process?
Correct. So we would be treating it same as any other standard in the ordinance. So, you know, pretty much any dimensional standards in the zoning code is eligible for a variance. And so we would be treating a building control line the same as any other standard. if somebody's looking for encroachment, they would need to apply for the variance, and they would need to satisfy those, pretty stringent criteria when it comes to demonstrating a unique hardship to the property. That is correct.
And so do we have, in terms of, the unique criteria and demonstrating a hardship, is there more details about, I guess I'm just trying to figure out, a few of these that have come in recently, if we had this zoning code, would we still end up approving those applications or variances?
I'll speak in generalities here, but I think generally speaking, it is very difficult to demonstrate the hardship to meet those 4 criteria within the variance section. So that's this A, B, C, D right here on the screen. And so I think what you would see is a majority of these, if we were to receive applications for the standard variance, probably a majority of them would be recommendations for denial from staff based on the fact that they're not able to satisfy those four criteria. So the intention here would be to reserve the ability to receive a variance to those specific situations that are clearly demonstrated to be warranted. So
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and maybe just to add a little bit more to that. In the past, historically, staff has always reviewed the request for variance. We haven't applied these 4 criteria. We've only looked at the soil analysis, and that recommendation from staff has been based solely on the soils analysis after being reviewed by the city engineer. So that would be the main change here, is that in addition to that soils analysis being reviewed by the city engineer, we would also be applying these 4 kind of stringent variance criteria as well on top of that. And they would need to satisfy all of those requirements in order to receive a recommendation of approval from staff.
Aaron, would it then generally be the case, since one of the requirements for a hardship variance is that there be something different about that land than other land around it, that almost no one would be able to show hardship if everyone around them is by the river and subject to the same setback requirements?
Yeah, and that's, the criteria, are a little subjective, and that's the reason it goes in front of a board. And, so there's an opportunity for some deliberation and some arguments to be made in terms of, what is or is not unique about a given property. Generally, we'll allow the applicant to, make whatever argument they'd like to make in order to demonstrate that they're satisfying those criteria. And then obviously staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Commission all review, the responses to those criteria as well, and provide guidance along the way.
I mean, I don't recall any of the ones we have approved in the past that would have been approved under this new statute. And by saying that, I would recommend approval if we strike number 6 from the exceptions list there under 4-431-C about the parking lots.
I would.
That is a motion.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. I would second that, and maybe just add a comment that, the Cheyenne River is still considered a young river, and it will continue to move. Their existing river channel through town, when the diversion operates, they essentially cut off any flow through town, and that probably has had a tendency to exacerbate some of the river erosion issues. With the FM diversion, once that's constructed, there's an opportunity to perhaps improve that situation, but nonetheless, erosion and riverbank sloughing along the Cheyenne continues to be a problem. So I think this is a great step, and second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any additional comments before we vote? Hearing none, I guess we put it to vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Same reply. Motion carries. Okay, we go on to the non-agenda items, and maybe Aaron will expound on this a little bit. A public open house for the West Fargo Growth Area Master Plan will take place at 5 PM until 7 PM in these chambers at City Hall on Wednesday, May 21st.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe just to add to that, we included in your packet is this little flyer. We've been working with our communication staff to send out some media releases and some social media content from the city's various platforms. Just spreading the word that a open house will take place. This will be the first open house for the city's growth area master plan. It'll take place Wednesday, May 21st in this room. Please spread the word to anybody that you feel might be interested. We have a link. There's the QR code here, and then there's a link right below it for, if you're on a computer or PC. You can just type in that little tiny web address right there, and that'll bring you to the actual project page. We should have our website hopefully updated here tomorrow with a direct link from the planning department's webpage as well to get to the project website. So that project website will be updated throughout the life of the project. There's not a whole lot of content on there right now other than some general information. But as this project progresses over the course of the next year or so, we'll continue to get some content uploaded. Additionally, we're going to have some public input opportunity on that website as well for folks that aren't able to attend in person. So a couple of different opportunities to provide some initial input here. So thank you.
Okay, and I think it's good to point out, just for the public, if anyone's listening, is this is the beginning stages of this. They're not coming in with a bunch of concrete plans or any other hard data or whatever. This is to get feedback from the public on what they're thinking. They're going to build off whatever feedback they get. So just so people understand, don't come there and they're going to say, here's what we're doing and here's how we're doing it, because we're just at the beginning of the process.
Yes, that's a great clarification. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other items to discuss? Hearing none, I guess I'd take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
I guess we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Get ready for the Airbnb lawsuit.
Yeah. Well, we just approved one last week.